Hey everyone, Harris O'Malley from DrNerdLove.com. So, today I am kicking off a Q&A series where I answer some of your burning questions about dating, about relationships, sex, self-improvement, you name it. Now, of course, this only works if I can have your Q's so I can give you my A's. So, if you've got a short question you'd like to have me answer on here, be sure to share it in the comments. This week, I've got two questions that actually got sent to my email rather than in the comments. The first comes from Marek, and Marek, I really hope I pronounced your name correctly, who wants to know, based on last week's video, why do some women never fill out their online dating profiles, or they put in the bare minimum? And what do you do if you see someone who has a mostly empty profile? So, the answer to the first part. Sometimes what's happened is you've come across a relatively new profile, especially if you're on a site or an app that sends you notifications like OkCupid's "Hey, here's who we recommend" email. A lot of people don't put their dating profiles together in one big swoop. They get started, they pick a username, put up a couple of photos, and then decide, hey, I'll come back to this later, and so they put up some placeholder text, like if you want to know anything, just ask, or just trying to find my partner in crime, not taking this too seriously. They figure they'll fill out the rest later when they've got a better idea of just what it is they want to say. You'll especially see this on sites or apps that have fairly extensive profile options. If there are a lot of sections to fill out, it can feel a little overwhelming at first, so people do it in stages. They put up the pics, figure out the rest as they go along. And a lot of times, if it's a site with a matching algorithm like OkCupid, it can all be a lot. You've got all these questions to answer, so people may just feel their brain vapor lock past a certain point, and they decide, you know what, I'll get back to it. Meanwhile, on sites like Tinder, there usually isn't a lot of room to write anything terribly insightful or detailed, so a lot of women will just have one or two lines and that's it. But the other, and honestly more common reason, is that, well, they don't need to fill it out, because a lot of guys will just message them no matter what's there or not there. Either you've got the men who are trying to game the system by swiping right on everybody and trying to maximize their number of potential matches, and you can check out my previous episode as to why that's a bad idea, or they've decided that her pictures told them everything they needed to know. Either way, this means that there's just not a lot of incentive for women to put the effort in. Because honestly, what's the point of all that work if folks aren't reading what they wrote in the first place? And really, if you talk to women about their experiences on dating apps, they'll tell you that pretty much half the time the guys who messaged them didn't read their profile in the first place, or they did the whole copy-paste thing, or else they just said hey and left it at that. Women hate that. So, what do you do if you come across one of those empty or mostly empty profiles? You have a couple of options. If you're using a site or an app with a search function, then, you can just skip over that profile and come back later when they've had time to fill in the rest. If you're on Tinder or Bumble and you have no real control over which profiles they put in your feed, then all you can do is work with what you've got. If all they've got is a quote or a reference to something, you can riff off of that. If they have any information about themselves, you can work with that. If there's absolutely nothing, or if it's just some stock phrase like, "I'm not taking this too seriously," or "looking for my partner in crime," then see if there's anything in her pictures that you can talk about. Send a message saying, "Hey, I noticed in your pics that blah blah blah," and then make an observation about something other than her looks. You can follow that with, "And that's pretty cool, so I wanted to get to know more about you as a person," and then ask a question about her. Maybe, "Hey, what are you passionate about?" Your other option is simply just swipe left and look for women who actually put the work into their profile and give them your time, your attention, and your effort. If more guys would stop shotgunning their attention on women with empty profiles, women are much more likely to fill theirs in. Really? The next question came from Rodrigo, and I think this may have been prompted by something that I shared on Twitter the other day. He asks, What do you do when you think a woman may have given you a fake number? This is something I see come up a lot, where folks are always sharing whatever new ideas they have about how to make sure you didn't get a fake number. Some people will tell you that you should get her number first and then immediately call or text her, supposedly so that she has your number, but in reality so that you can see whether it works. Other people will say, get her number, then text her right then and there and see if it goes through. I saw one person suggest that if you think you got a fake number, then what you should do is read it back to her with a couple of numbers off and see if she corrects you. Don't do any of that. If you think you got a fake number, none of that will work the way that you're hoping it will. When a woman gives you a fake phone number, it means that she's not interested in you, and she knows that most guys will go away after she's given them a number, not necessarily her number. It's quicker and easier than trying to explain that no, she's not interested, than having to deal with someone who's decided they're just gonna keep at it until she's either changed her mind or she gets up and leaves. Whichever comes first. And a lot of women will give out a fake number because they have a real and legitimate worry about what might happen if they say no directly. Pretty much every woman you're likely to meet has either had guys freak out at her for turning them down or know someone who has. And there are tons of stories in the media about guys who've become violent when women have said no. It's a little hard to blame women for wanting to be cautious when there are folks out there who will break her face if she refuses to give them her number or go on a date with them. You are not one of those guys, but she doesn't know that, and the consequences for being wrong are really, really high. But more to the point, your calling her out on giving you a fake number isn't going to change her mind. Women aren't Mr. Mxyzptlk, and they're not some fairy tale creature who's testing you to see if you're clever enough to see through their scheme before they're willing to date you. Making a production about her having given you a fake number is a great way to tell her that she was right to do it in the first place. Are you gonna be good? I've got a cat out of camera range. This is why my general advice for getting women's number, or their Snapchat, their Kik, what have you, is to make plans for a date first. Then, if she agrees, say, cool, let me get your number so we can make plans. This means that not only is she more likely to give you her real number because she wants to go on this date with you, but that means that she's also going to actually respond when you text or pick up when you call. I go into a lot of this in my book, I Got Her Number, Now What? So go check that out. Links to buy it are in the show notes. But this isn't always going to work. You're not always going to be able to plan a date right then and there. So you have to be willing to trust that she actually likes you and that she gave you her real number. If you are worried that she's given you a fake number, give her yours and tell her to hit you up sometime. If she doesn't, then, well, you're not out anything any more than you would have been if she gave you a fake. But you will do a lot better if you give her the chance to decide whether she actually wants to hear from you again, instead of confirming that she was right to give you a fake number by calling her out on it. That's gonna do it for this week. Thanks for checking out my video. If you're digging this, let me know in the comments. And if you have a question you want answered here, leave that in the comments as well. Who knows, maybe the question I'll answer next time will be yours. And if you need an answer right away or you want a guaranteed answer, check out my private coaching options. The priority email service may be exactly what you're looking for. Links are in the show notes, so go check it out. Meanwhile, you can follow me on Twitter at Dr. NerdLove. Join the NerdLove Academy at facebook.com/group/Dr. NerdLove. And as always, check out my other videos, hit the logo to subscribe, and I will see you here next time with more about love, sex, and dating. Thanks for watching.